Did you know there are two bills actively in the House of Representatives aimed at abolishing the Department of Education? Who's involved with these bills? What are the bills? What will happen if they are passed? Will they be passed? And why do they want these bills passed? Let's find out together. One of these bills to abolish the Department of Education was introduced on February 9, 2023 by a Kentucky Representative, Thomas Massie, which was co-sponsored by 28 other Republicans, including Representatives Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Chip Roy, and more. The bill introduced would strictly abolish the Department of Education. In fact, that is basically all the bill says. The Department of Education shall terminate on December 31st, 2023. The second bill was introduced by Representative Barry Moore, a representative from Alabama. His bill was co-sponsored by 6 other Republicans, including Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Representative Moore's bill would not only abolish the Department of Education, but also give the money back to the states at which they came. Now, what would happen if we only abolished the Department of Education for the year 2024, like Representative Thomas Massie wants to? Well, for starters, the government would save a whole lot of money. According to USAspending.gov, the Department of Education's available funding for fiscal year 2023 is $175.81 billion. The United States government would save nearly $200 billion in 2024. You or your kids would no longer be able to apply for federal financial aid for college or receive that money that helps pay for college. Hundreds of colleges and universities would lose funding for their operations and staff. Thousands of would-be students would lose grant money to help pay for college. And let's not forget about the people who work for the Department of Education. 4,400 people currently work for the Department of Education and would lose their jobs on December 31st, 2023, as the Department of Education was terminated. Now, what if Representative Barry Moore's bill were to pass tomorrow? It states that the Department of Education is abolished 30 days after the date of enactment of this act. If his bill to abolish the Department of Education was passed on May 1st, 2023, the Department of Education would be abolished on May 31st, 2023. The bill also states the funds would be transferred to the Secretary of Treasury. The Secretary of Treasury would consume almost $200 billion overnight. If you can recall, Representative Moore's bill wants to give the funds back to the states. Now, how exactly would the nearly $200 billion budget be allocated to the states? The bill states, the allocations made by the Secretary to each state under subsection B shall be in proportion to the aggregate amount of federal individual income taxes paid by the residents of such state, relative to such aggregate amount paid by residents of all the states, as determined by the Secretary after consultation with the Secretary of the Treasury. The more your state pays in income taxes, the more your state receives. Take, for example, Illinois. In 2018, residents in the state of Illinois paid roughly $161 billion into federal income taxes, while its neighboring state, Indiana, only paid $58 billion into federal income taxes. Illinois would get 3 times the money back than Indiana, as it paid almost 3 times as much as the state of Indiana. Okay, but why would the two representatives try to pass these bills? First off, Representative Thomas Massie's proposed bill would save the government billions of dollars. His voters would love it. Now, Representative Barry Moore's proposed bill would look good for the Republican base who loves school choice. School choice gives the funds back to the parents. This gives the parents the ability to decide where their child goes to school rather than the state making that choice for them. A student would not be limited by their zip code. The funds would follow the student. The bill even states, states should distribute non-federal funds for elementary and secondary education in a manner that promotes competition and choices in education in order to secure the best education available for each child, and it is the fundamental right of parents to determine the best education for their children. And finally, do either of these bills have a chance to be passed? These bills probably won't ever make it to the House floor for a vote. If they did, they would need every single Republican to vote with them, as their lead in the House is still slim. Even if it passed the House of Representatives, Democrats have control of the Senate and presidency. The likelihood of the bill being passed in the next 2 years is 0. But it is important to stay informed about these bills. Whether they are going to pass or not, everyday bills are introduced into the House of Representatives that frankly take up too much time and resources. Always know who your representative is by going to house.gov, scrolling down, and entering your zip code here. Make sure you call their offices if you are ever displeased with any bill in the House of Representatives that I give you. Thanks for watching.